Right. So our session will be divided into three sections today. First, I will introduce you about the dissertation from the University of Gloucestershire, the requirements, and then I will also show you the proposal template and the dissertation requirements and all. Then we'll start research methodology. There will be two sessions today. First one is with myself, and second one with Mr. Rao, which you have received the link, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So in the first session,
the link, I think I only got this link. Is it?
The other one you haven't received today?
I'll have to check, but I don't think. If you don't mind sending it again, just in case.
Right. We'll do that. Yeah. So for this session, I will be covering your what is research. Start writing your proposal, then how to write about the introduction and background of the research. We'll also discussing about the problem statement, research gap, writing about research objectives and research questions, right? And then we'll conclude our session here, followed by your another session with Mr. Rao. Now let's see. This is okay. The aim of this session is to introduce the Masters of Dissertation team. Basically, myself, I'm one of the facilitator for research methodology. There is another facilitator, Mr. Rao, and your mainly the person who is coordinating is Dr. Mary, right? Then I'll be discussing about the research method workshops, providing with an overview of the structure of dissertation assessment, the key date, the important dates we'll be discussing. Right. By the way, have you received the access to the EOG module?
I received access to the, if I'm not mistaken, I think their portal, their eVision portal. That's what I received access to. But in terms of Moodle, I don't think they've sent me yet.
Okay, we'll follow up on that. So what is dissertation? That day I sent you an article about research. So
yes,
a dissertation is also a large scale of research project. There are different types of research. We also publish journals, articles. This is kind of research, but a dissertation is a larger scale. It could be find out about your customer perception, investigate new market, identify the impact of new technology, you analyzing the impact of COVID-19, the customer behavior. These are the business section because you are a student of business. So these are the areas that you can be looking into. And whatever you want to discover, you can use your dissertation as a vehicle to do this. I mean, you identify the problem and then you need to find some kind of solutions for the problem. But this whole investigation or research has to be in a specific or scientific way. What is the scientific way of research? We'll be showing later. So whose dissertation is it? This project is yours and the whole process design is up to you. In this way, it is completely different to any other module or assignment. In the earlier, that's why I'm asking what are the module you have completed in your PGD. So this dissertation is completely different from any other assignment. Basically, you will set up a topic, the angle and the critical questions. You design the content and find the relevant readings, and then you carry out your research. The structure, there are three components. This is the key area, three components in your dissertation. First one is writing a proposal. The word count for the proposal is 1,500 words, and you will get about a month time to complete this research proposal.
Okay.
The dissertation, the word count is 15,000 words, and you will get about 6 months time to complete this. A reflective log is kind of your reflection overall. It is also contain 10% of marks. So reflective paper and your proposal 10%, 10%, 20%, and your dissertation is 80%. That's how your 100% grading for your dissertation.
Okay.
Now, as I mentioned, that research proposal is 1,500 words, and the structure, like you will be writing an introduction, then context or background information. Then you will be developing your research question on research objectives, relevant academic literature, and proposed methodology. So these things in details we will be learning today, followed by your reference list and appendix. And your dissertation, which is 80% of your marks graded, total is word count is 15,000, and the structure like introduction, background, literature review, method, finding, discussion. This also known as like introduction to your chapter 1, background information. You can also include in your chapter 1, literature review in chapter 2, methodology, we call it chapter 4, findings also in chapter 4, discussion and all in 5, conclusion and recommendation you can put as chapter 6. So I'll be guiding you the structure as well. And 10% is your reflective blog. The word count is within 1,500 words. And this basically your reflection. What are the experiences? What are the knowledge you learned, right? This is more than what you did. It needs to encapsulate your everything that you have learned along the way about the topic, doing the research, the idea or the new knowledge you have learned, all these things. There will be another session on reflective paper next week by Professor Chan.
Yeah.
All right. So research topic. Now there's few things. One is research proposal. Another is a dissertation, reflective blog. These 3 sections will be guided, graded. You will be the marks. This research topic, there's no marks, but the area you are going to do your research, we give you about today is what, 22nd, 8 days or 7 days time to identify the topic, just a topic, the heading, what area you want to do your research. So we need it, and I will give you a research topic form. You just fill it up. You need to do a kind of readings and decide what are the area you want to do. And this we need to be completed by 31st of January this month.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like the topic form, like what I'm going to do about, I'm not too sure, but obviously I want to be doing it in with the company that I'm working with.
All right. There's no issues on that, no issues. But then you need to formulate a title.
Yeah. So I've already spoken to my manager at work,
right?
And I told him that I'm doing my dissertation, and I want to include the company in it as my topic. My main the company that's going to be talking about. And he said that's fine. And if there's anything that needs to be, said to him, just to let him know later on.
Right. So since your management is already okay with that, I would suggest you to identify the topic. After that, you write to them officially. So how many people are working there?
The company itself is a big company. They've got different headquarters. They were different places, but the one that I'm working in has got about 10 to 15 people.
All right.
In that.
Right. Okay, we look into that once you decide your topic. So once your proposal is approved, and you will be assigned a supervisor. So these things, you can discuss with your supervisor and all. Right. So key data you need to remember. This is important. Proposal submission by February 25th of February. You need to submit your proposal.
Yeah.
And your dissertation you need to submit by 30th June. The 15,000 word. And your reflective blog you will be given another 7 or 8 days by 7 July. This is how you will complete all the 3 sections and the requirements for UOG thesis. Now, the resources, as I mentioned that you will be given access to the portal and your student portal and also the module for resources. You can get the what you call notes, all types of journals, articles. You also will get your textbook. You can also refer to the previous dissertation completed by the other students. So you can have a look into this, right? So as I mentioned, the 3 individual assessment within this dissertation, your support through a dissertation by a supervisor and the online resources. To start your journey, you need to submit your research topic by 31st. So that's all about this. So for any question?
It's just mainly about the research topic. I just need to find one, but is there any advice you can give on what sort of research topic I should go for?
Let me show you one example, then you can have some idea.
Yeah.
Okay, look into this. This is one of the dissertation been completed recently. And this is from University of Gloucestershire. So topic is like, how has COVID-19 impacted supply chain management in the manufacturing industry?
Okay.
You see, this is short, about 15-20 words, and it gives you the specific idea, the COVID-19 impact where in supply chain management, which industry? Manufacturing. So location can be in UK or some other parts, but as you mentioned that you want to do your own company, so your location is in UK, that's fine. So what area you want to do, you just do your some, what do you call, you just think about this and then probably you can work out few titles, then we can discuss. Right, so this is the title, how has the COVID-19 impacted supply chain management in the manufacturing, right? And this is the cover page, then all these things. So this file I will share with you so you can have some idea.
Okay.
Right. So if no other question, let's go to our main topic, that is our research methodology. So did you go through the file I shared with you?
No, I haven't yet. I had to go. I was going to go through it this weekend. I need to.
Right. So you see the word research. Research. What does it mean? To search again. Research. Search again. Now, in academics, your research, the search should be rigorous and systematic. And your search should have some discoveries, some new knowledge. So research is an organized, a systematic way of finding your answer to your questions, right? So this has to be very systematic, finding an answer. So when I say systematic, what does it mean? Systematic is a definite set of procedure and steps which you will follow, which are always done in order to get the most accurate results. You see, when COVID-19 breakdown throughout the world, and it's a global pandemic, so the scientists, especially the medicine related this area, these people, they wanted to discover some remedies. So what they discovered, they have discovered what they call the vaccine. So they did some research. So that is the science or pure research. In business, this area we call it the social science. So even in social science, the research needs to be systematic. It needs to be organized. There is a structure or method in doing research. It is a planned procedure focused to the specific scope. Finding your answer, most importantly, finding your answer. This is the end of research, whether it is an answer to a hypothesis or even simple questions. Research is successful when you find an answer. If you don't have any answer, basically there is no research. So again, we need to define or identify a problem, and we need to search the solution of the problem. The moment we got the answer, you have achieved something, discovered something. Now, it is also involved the question. This is the central to research. If there is no question, there is no use of, without question, research has no focus, no drive, no purpose. I mean, you need to identify a problem. The moment you have identified problem, then you need to find how to solve it. So the question, this is how you link to the questions. So again, if I sum up, what is the scientific method? We always say research in a scientific method to find answer. What is the scientific method? It involves a cycle. The cycle, like observe. When you observe, you find problem. Then you have some questions, how to solve this, what are the issues involved. There are many questions comes in. Then you look for the literature. What is the literature? This is not the literature that studied by another person. This literature in research, it means the studies done by the other people in the same area. Then based on the research literature, you develop some hypothesis, means assumption. Okay, if I do this, this can be the result A. If I do this, result can be B. So you do some hypothesis. Then you do your experiment. So initially you do an assumption. Then you said you got your company got 10 people. So you ask each of them their own opinion. So you do the actual experiment now. You are collecting data when you are asking them or doing a survey among them. So you are collecting some data. And then when you analyze your data, you find an answer. So that is your conclusion. Then you present the result. Then you develop new interventions. Then you ask questions. This is the cycle. The research doesn't stop, go cycle by cycle. So if we try to define again, what is the research? A scientific process that validates and refine your existing knowledge and generate new knowledge that directly or indirectly influence your work practice. Try to understand some keyword here. A research is a scientific process that validates and refine your existing knowledge. So all the research targeting for new knowledge. If there is no problem and no solution, there is no research. It must generate a new knowledge that directly or indirectly influence your work practices, right? Now, what is thesis? Some people call thesis, some people call dissertation. That UOG call it as a dissertation. A thesis is an idea or theory that is expressed as a statement and discussed in a logical way. A thesis is a long piece of writing based on your own ideas and research that you do as a part of the university degree, especially during your higher degrees, such as your master's or PhD. So a thesis or dissertation is not same as a journal article. A journal article basically is very short form, particularly focused on a specific topic. So that is all about the research. Now, there are a classification of research or different types of research. At the moment, we focus on two types of research, which we call it as a basic research and applied research. Basic research basically mainly attempts to expand the limits of knowledge, which is a gradual process. The cycle when the things goes all, every company, they focus their R&D, their knowledge and research and development. So that's the basic, which aims to expand the limit of knowledge, not directly involved with the solution of pragmatic problem. Pragmatic problem is the specific problem. So basic research, especially focus, let's say, executive correlated with a higher need for achievement. Do we need any change? For example, your company is what we call a security company. Do we need additional staff, or do we need additional software, or do we need additional what they call facilities? So this is the basic questions. Then you answer. Let's say they need another 5 employees. Why do you need 5 employees? You have some questions, then you need to answer. So as long as you justify, you're doing kind of completing, you're getting an answer. Or it can be involved as are the members of highly cohesive work groups are more satisfied than the members of less cohesive groups? Is there any particular issue in this organization? Is there any punctuality issues, or is there any motivational issues? Then you find the answer, how to minimize the gap, how to avoid what you call demotivation factor, how to increase company performances of the people. The second type of research is applied research. And for your cases, you can look into this. The way you have explained about your company background information, I feel this will be better for your case. This normally conduct when a decision must be made about a specific real life problem. So we can find out a real life problem. You see, there are many examples that should McDonald's add an Italian pasta dinners to its menu? Not McDonald's, basically they are offering kind of burgers, different types of burgers. Pasta is not a usual type of an item of the McDonald's that serve, but in a specific places or specific branches, if there is any need, how to find this? Do you notice sometimes many outlets they provide kind of survey? It can be electronic or even distributing the forms, getting people's ideas, right? So you see, any particular outlet of McDonald's, if they want to add any items, though they will do a kind of survey. They want to know people opinion and all. So this is a kind of applied research. Business research told McDonald's it should not. So if we want to say should or should not, we need to get some facts. Should Procter & Gamble add a higher price home bleaching kit to its product line? So this is a different type of product for P&G. So should or should not? Should or should not? You cannot answer simply. Basically, if your outlet do a kind of survey for 1 week, 2 weeks among 100 people, 200 people, or 500 people, sometimes 1,000 people, then you can analyze your data and then you can see what the consumer or the customer's preferences. Then you decide, you got some answer. The way to do it is a kind of applied research. Research also showed that Crest Wilfer should well spend at a retail price of 44. So if you what you call increase the price, it's also it kind of applied research. The other type of research is scientific method that basically physics or chemistry or that has been done in the lab, right? That is scientific method or scientific result. So there are two types of research we have explained. One is your basic research, another one is applied research. And applied research, basically looking into the real life problem solving things. That is about the types of research. Now, approaches. Basically, there are two approaches, which is inductive or deductive. You need to understand this very carefully because this is linked to the later topics.
Okay.
Inductive or deductive approach. In inductive approach to a researcher begins by collecting data that are relevant to his or her topic of the interest. Once substantial amount of data have been collected, the researcher will then look for a pattern in the data, working to develop an explanation or a theory for these patterns. In other words, this research approach moves from data to explanation and sometimes theory, or from a specific to the general. Most qualitative based research studies are inductive. Now, inductive research is also known as qualitative research. And these types of research, they're starting with the gathering data. Qualitative research, mainly you are getting ideas, informations, or you start with the beginning, what we call the interview with the people. Let's say in your college or university, you see there is a significant, what we call the changes been noticed among the student attendance in the classroom. Now, you can find out the answer in two ways. You can generally distribute a form of survey and get the answer. Or if you want to know more, survey is not enough, then you need to do interview one by one. Then when you conduct an interview, one-to-one session, you will be finding the actual reason. Then you can find out what is the problem. That is how an inductive method for qualitative research starts. Now, this inductive or qualitative, you have some advantages or disadvantages. Advantages like you can use a relatively small sample for your research, because interview you cannot go for larger quantity. Data can be gathered which is enriched personal comment or personal insights. You can also get the why is automatically addressed in the data. With interview, respondents are free to answer and the way you would like to. They are not constrained or predetermined set of possible respondents on a survey. So when you take interview, it's not they are filling the forms like putting the tick marks. So they are really conscious what they are answering, and these answers are being recorded. But the qualitative has some disadvantages as well. The findings are subjective, can be difficult or generalized for the research because you are focusing on a lesser number of people. You cannot do a qual interview with the larger numbers. Your research would be very hard to reproduce if another research wanted to reproduce research and test your findings. They cannot. And a qualitative approach is often time consuming. It takes a lot of time. Interviewing people takes time. And because time is very often linked with the cost, qualitative approach must be an expensive method. So that is inductive or qualitative approach of research. There's another approach which is known as deductive or quantitative. Researcher adopting a deductive approach takes the steps described earlier for inductive research and reverse in their order. So as I mentioned earlier, in inductive, you start with the interviewing, collecting data. Then you identify the problem. Whereas in deductive, it's opposite. You identify what is the problem first. Then you are collecting data. They start with the theory of finding the compelling, then its implication with the data. That is the move from a more general level to a more specific one, right? A deductive approach is that people will typically associate with the scientific investigation. The researcher studies what the others have done, read the existing theory of whatever phenomenon he or she is studying, then test hypotheses that emerge from those theories. And most quantitative research studies are deductive in approach. Why we say deductive now? And what are the things we're deducting? Now, during COVID, there are a lot of factors in some of the developing countries. They cannot adopt online learning. They cannot. So why they cannot? Based on the studies that has been done, we find technology is one of the factors. We find resources is the factor. We find internet is one of the factors. So you find many factors. Now you want to be more specific in UOG. Why or what are the factors influencing to adopt online learning? So you identified in general few factors, but then you want to be more specific. So you have done a survey among, let's say, 200 people. Among 200 people, only maybe 150 they responded. You see, so your initially target or distributed survey among 200, 150 responded. So you see, deducting the way method, then you generalize a decision. That is a deductive approach of research, which is also known as quantitative method. Now, your deductive or quantitative approach also got advantage and disadvantages. So what are the advantages? It can be extremely efficient approach for gathering data. especially for the larger group of people. So survey, you can do a larger people. Let's say you want to do about the consumer perception about the online learning, you can do even electronic way, e-method of distributing survey through email. Or you want to know in the hypermarket, is there any issues of what you call the performances and all, so you can do. And in this sector, especially larger group of people, sometimes thousands people are involved. But at the same time, your quantitative also got some disadvantages that not particular good approach to take if you are trying to explain things that happen. I mean, if you want to observe some changes in their attitude, behavior and all, quantitative is not a good way. Assume that researcher can be objective, but researcher may also allow their own values and interest in the influence the research. So researcher got some influences. You need to use a large sample to be able to get generalization from the results. For MBA project, the decision adopt qualitative, quantitative approach or quantitative or deductive approach will be determined by the what we call the smaller number. So it doesn't much suit to the quantitative. So we have covered what is research. We have also discussed about your types of research, basically two types of research, basic research and applied research. And we have also noticed that basic research applied to to exceed the limit or new knowledge and all, whereby applied research, you want to find a real life problem solution. Then we have also noticed that there are two types of approach. One is inductive, another one is deductive. Your inductive is also known as qualitative. Basically, this process starts with gathering data, then come to the problem. It also, after identification of the problem, then only it relates to the theories and all. Whereby in deductive approach, which is also known as your quantitative method, it basically applies to a larger number of population and idea generalization. So again, the article I sent to you last week, that one got more information. I think this week, yeah, more information and the types of researches you can get it. So based on these factors I have explained, again, we can categorize as quantitative research and qualitative research. So quantitative research that study employs empirical data to investigate the phenomena. We need data. And qualitative research, in-depth phenomena by observing a particular case or unit of analysis. Researcher that produce a descriptive data, people own written or spoken word or observation or interview. Phenomenological perspective, which is central to the qualitative methodology. So while you're dealing with the quantitative, it deals with data, the figures, facts. But while with the qualitative, it is the process, observation, interview. Then you finalize identify your problem. Now, what are the characteristics that makes a good research or good dissertation? You need to define your purpose clearly. So in your chapter 1 or introduction, when you write, introduce your topic, you need to write purpose. So you need to clearly identify what is the purpose of your research. You need to detail the research process. So when you have identified your problem, then you need to write about what is the problem, or we can call it as a problem statement. Once you write your problem statement, then you need to define what is your research aim and objective. Once you finalize or identify your research aim and objective, you also need to write the research questions. Then you will be explaining the significance of your research. Significance to yourself, the company or the organization you are doing for. So, and in academic area. So it will have a contribution to the knowledge. It also will have the contribution to the practitioners or policymakers. I mean, the benefit for your organization and yourself. A good research will also have a high ethical standard. It's not copy paste. Huh? That's what he said. High ethical standard. You didn't copy, so it is genuine. Your piece of work. Adequate analysis. You will be showing what are the method you have followed or adopted. Is it qualitative or quantitative, and what tools you have used to analyze the data, right? And a good research also won't present any unambiguous or doubtful presentation or very difficult to understand. It also focus on a conclusion justified, very conclusion, and your what you call recommendations that the problem you've identified. And of course, you will be mentioned about the limitations and other things. So what are the bad characteristics? What are the bad researches? Plagiarized of the others, I mean copy paste from the other people. Falsifying or manipulation of data, presenting information which is not true, and misleading respondent. These are some very bad qualities of research. So we have discussed about your research. What is research? Types of research, research approaches. Now you start writing of your thesis. So when you start writing of a thesis, you need to start with introduction or chapter 1. Now, in the chapter 1, we call it is introduction. So when in the introduction, you will introduce your topic, your area of research, the problem you have identified. Then you need to give your research context, how it looks like, and what are the previous research has been done in the same field. This section will also can explain how you are going to do the fill the gap. Fill the gap means, let's say the previous research has been done on increasing performance management. Now, this same context can be applied to a specific organization, can be your security industry or security companies and all, can be linked to. So you'll be explaining to increase the performance in other institution or other organization, how it was done. And since in the security or this company has nothing been identified or no research has been done to resolve the problem of your performances. So this is a good area to research. So this is how we need to convince your readers that this piece of research you're going to adopt or you're going to do will have some real life solutions or real life implications. Right. So once you have identified you have written your introduction and given a background information of your research, the most important point is then to write your problem statement. So a problem statement, basically a situation or circumstances that a solution need to be described, explained, or predicted. It is an unsatisfactory situation that wants you to confront. So again, a research start with an identification of a problem. If you don't have any problem, no need to do any research. Right? Now, yeah. Problem, again, so you have personal problem. You also have social problem. In research, it won't be any problem if you only say. You also show some evidences, some other published work that other people are also looking into this and they're saying, oh, this is an issue. Now, due to COVID-19, you see the new platform or the online education has been started. And when online education launched, there are many issues like adapting to the new technology, one. Training and some of the, what you call the teachers or lecturers are not trained to the platforms, online platforms. This is also an issue. Participation or the student attendance is also an issue. So there are many issues. So you can look into this, how we can increase the student attendance. That's number one. How the students and the teacher can adopt to the new platform can be issue. So these issues are generally acknowledged. Is also other studies has been done, right? So when you say a problem and you cannot give some justification, it's not a problem. So in research, this is the key area. You must convince your readers. In case your thesis, your lecturer, your supervisor, your other evaluator in the EOG, they are the readers. So they must convince the problem you have identified is a real problem, and that needs to be addressed, or that needs to be researched to find out the problem, the solution. Now, there's a difference between problematic situation and researchable problem. What is the problematic situation and what is the researchable problem? You need to understand first. You see, when a large number of scope or have many dimensions, is, for example, COVID-19, low education level, restrictive trade policies, unemployment. This is very general situation, isn't it? Now, if the question is due to COVID, there is an unemployment or the increase in unemployment. This is very, very general statement. But if they call it unemployment rate increasing in Kuala Lumpur retail sector, very specific. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you mention a specific place and also specific problem, that is the problem that can be researched. But a general statement like low education level or restrictive trade policy, these are very general statement. These are problematic situations. This situation is not very specific. Therefore, you cannot undertake any research. So a researchable problem is very specific problem at which the objectives of the research are directed. You see, at the beginning, I asked you, where you want to do your research? You said your company. Why your company is very specific, right? So you can set your objectives. Now, when you say you want to do your company, so what area you think you're going to do a research?
That's the thing. I'm not too sure yet which sort of area I'm going to do yet. I just have to look. I'm going to have to do a little bit more research on what I can do, because.
Do you notice any problem there? Do you find any problem? The area for improvement?
Yeah, there is a couple of areas that could be done for improvement. Yeah.
Like?
In terms of, I think it's more in terms of, like, because what happens is that we get jobs from the council, so jobs are raised and they come into our system. But the problem is that when we raise the job to say, okay, look, we have this job on our system, it's there for a long time. So we are like sort of like, we have jobs from December 2020 that we still haven't finished. So it's all like backlogging. And then we're trying to finish it off as fast as we can. So we're trying to allocate the jobs, I think. So we're a bit behind of the jobs that have come in. So like, say, for example, a job that was brought from Camden on today, we might get it done in March. You see, because we are starting back from December last year to try and finish that off to come back. So that we're like moving back, we're like backlogging, trying to get everything done. So that's the only issue. Unless it's like an emergency, then it'll go first. So that's the only thing. So maybe a little bit more like organizational, like organizing the workload, the lack of engineers that we have. So that's a few things.
Are you looking, because you said the job from December, you are just receiving it, so there's a delay. So delay, are you seeing a reason because of automation, or there's no automation or manual work?
No, it's more of like, for example, in one day there will be 10 or 15 new jobs, but maybe we have 3 engineers in one council.
Understand.
So each engineer maybe can do, let's say, 4 or 5 jobs. and those jobs maybe can take 2 hours to 4 hours. So maybe they can only do 3 jobs in that, and then sometimes they get called for an emergency, they have to go to somewhere else. So that those jobs that are brought up in December or yesterday cannot be finished today, and then it keeps on going, and like a snowball effect, like that.
So this you can categorize is more towards HR issues, lack of manpower, and this impact to the profitability of the organization, isn't it?
Yeah, so it impacts the profitability of the organization, as well as we do get quite a lot of the residents who stay at the places complaining. They will call to say, okay, how long is this going to take?
So
that.
that will be another factor, like customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
Because if your customers are not happy and they are complaining, that is another area of research, the customer satisfaction. So I think that would be one of the good area of research, how to increase the customer satisfaction in your security, or you can write your name as well, the company name as well. Right. So you see, now, if I talk about the customer satisfaction in general, it is a problematic situation, but that problem is not researchable. But when I say customer satisfaction in XYZ company, or in your services, your company, for example, that is a researchable problem. How to increase the customer satisfaction. Now, are you clear about the problematic situation and researchable problem?
Yeah.
Right. Now, when you have this problem, you need to answer these questions. Can you study the problem, or can you do research this problem? Do you have access to the researchable site? Do you have time, resources, skills to carry out the research? And second question you need to answer is, should you do the study the problem? Does it advance your knowledge? Does it contribute to the practice? You see, these are the questions I think we have already discussed and got the answer now.
Yeah.
Now, in order to find the research problem or problem statement, we need to find out what is research gap. Perhaps the problem you have just now explained to me, no one has looked into how to increase the customer satisfaction in your organization or the complaint that you've been receiving. So a research gap is a question of problem that has not been answered. It has not been answered yet by any of the existing studies or research within your field. A research gap also indicates, defines a topic or area which is missing or insufficient information that limits the ability to research or for a conclusion research question. A research gap also explain the deficiency in the research literature, right, pertaining to the subject of investigation or the area of the study. A research gap is a research need is defined as a gap that limits the ability of the decision makers, policymaker, or patient, or practitioner, or from any other decisions. Just now we have mentioned about that you all receiving the customer complaints and all. So this area has not been researched yet. No one has been taken into attention yet. So there is a gap. This research gap exists when there is a concept of a new idea that has not been studied at all. So in your case, the customer complaint or satisfaction can be a new area which has not been studied at all. The research gap exists in the existing literature, which is outdated. Perhaps somebody has done some research, but in 2022, this is no longer applicable. It's outdated already. So this is another research gap. Now, research gap, you have few areas like your knowledge gap, you have evidence gap, you have empirical gap, you also have practical knowledge gap, methodological gap, population gap, or contextual gap, and theoretical gap. Now, what is knowledge gap? The knowledge gap means the problem has, now, give an example. In COVID-19, many situation has been, many things has been changed. When initially in 2020 March, in Malaysia, the declaration of what they call the lockdown, this and that, in some other parts of the world, some Asian countries even they didn't imagine for what they call the takeaway or the food panda concept and all, home delivery food. They didn't have. But when the pandemic started, there was no restaurants are allowed to dine in and all. So they thought about the alternative. Perhaps in the other parts of the world, it is already a common practice. So for them, it's a new knowledge.
Yeah.
Some you have research evidence gap. Now, when occurs when probative exception arises, a new research findings contradict with the accepted conclusion. Evidence gap is a good example. You see, sometimes they say the vaccination for COVID, Pfizer got more effective rate, or some they say, AstraZeneca. You see, each of them, when they claim, they produce a statistics. That is the evidence, evidence gap. Empirical gap. The gap deals with the prior research whereby there is a conflict between research findings and or proposition that need to be empirically verified. That is more applied to your scientific research. Practical knowledge gap, knowledge action research, that conflicts arise when the actual behavior is different from the advanced behavior, such as the research is engaged with the uncover reasons. Methodological gap is some research has been done in a quantitative method, so you can apply now qualitative. Or some has been done in qualitative method, you can apply as quantitative. In some cases, you can apply both. We call it mixed mode, quantitative and qualitative together. Population or contextual gap. Some research has been done on employee perspective, some done on research or done on citizen perspective. So the same area of research you can do in the both. That is known as a population gap. Theoretical gap, let's say one of the research has been done on technology adoption model, we call it TAM. The same research can be used with a different theory, which is known as what you call your theoretical gap. Now, before going further, let's do some reading here to find out what is the gap and how to find this. Is it clear for you to read?
Yeah.
Can you read it loud? Yeah.
So, as noted by Wu, 2011, and Cham et al., studies related to the aspect of branding within healthcare and medical tourism industries remain under examined to date. With limited empirical evidence in addressing the importance of brand image, the scenario reflects a research gap worth exploring. A superior brand image can arguably be a factor within healthcare providers that facilitates decision-making, risk assessment, medical service visualization, and medical service evaluation among medical tourists. Cham et al., 2016, Wu, 2011. Moreover, their perceptions toward brand image of hospital will potentially influence the assessments on service quality, which in turn will have an impact on the level of satisfaction, perceived value, and most importantly, intention to revisit.
Now, do you find any problem here or any problem that the researcher is trying to fill the gap?
I can't see it at the moment, but I mean, he's basically saying that there is a couple of issues and all that, but at the same time, they're looking at improving it, or like working on it.
All right. Now you see, they're talking about the hospital. There are some keywords. Hospital, okay. Brain image, this and that. So they're talking about the hospital. So what is the main function of hospital?
Well, to treat people.
To treat
to
people.
make sure people.
All right. Now, in the private sector, I'm not sure about the UK, but here in Malaysia or some other parts of the world, the private sector, they're treating the people, hospital treating the people at the same time, they also want to make money.
Yeah.
Right? Business perspective. If they only treat the people, it's not a charity. They want to make money. Now, when you want to make your hospital, what you call a branded one, only in the traditional mode, when your doctors and your service is good, only people care about the hospital, isn't it? They refer to the others. But hospital owner, you see, 1 minute. You see here that there are some other studies which was done in 2011 and 2016 that related to aspect of branding within the healthcare and medical tourism. You understand? Especially Thailand, Malaysia nowadays, and Singapore. Medical tourism, people didn't even think before. People can go for medication as well as kind of tourism. So if you can attract, let's say hospital A, they're only providing the healthcare facilities. They don't care about the branding and the health, medical tourism and all. They can get X amount of patient per year. The other hospital B, who is also taking care of tourism, they also do kind of branding. So which hospital you think end of the year get more patient?
Oh, it depends really. It's
Okay,
hard to say how, I don't know. For me, I think it's more of how many, I don't know how many, but where if it's the effectiveness, I think it'll be the hospital that doesn't care about branding.
Let's say effective level or the efficiency or the service for both hospital the same level. Now which one will, hospital A or hospital B will get the more patients?
I don't know, because there's a lot of factors that can affect it, but I mean, it depends. If people want something more private, then private. But looking at a large scale, I think the normal hospital that doesn't care about branding so much.
Right. Now, you see, people are going to Bangkok, and then there is a hospital called Brahmangat, and also got Bangkok Hospital. These two hospitals, the service is good. They are also doing a kind of branding. They also have tourism facilities. So these few, what they call medicals, based on the statistics published, they are getting more patients compared to the other one. Why? Because in terms of your facilities, same. One, people know, another people don't know. Nowadays, organizations spend a lot of money for branding. So what I was saying that these studies, they focus on the branding within the healthcare and medical tourism. The idea of medical tourism didn't exist before. Something they knew they have introduced. Now Malaysia also got a lot of people coming for medical tourism. So the primary objective is to get the medication. Second, they also look into the other parts, kind of tourism. So they highlighted in 2011 and 2016 that is under examined to date. With the limited and empirical evidence in addressing the importance of brain image, the scenario reflects a research gap. So they find out a gap. This area has not been researched. So they did a research with the brain image or medical tourism, whether the hospitals are or healthcare institutions are more profitable or not. That was the target of the research. And if you read the whole article, they have given some statistics and the facts that yes, with the what you call tourism and the branding, the hospitals can actually make more money, right? Moreover, their perception toward the brand image of the hospital will potentially influence their assessment on service quality, and which in return will have an impact on the level of satisfaction. You see here, when service of quality, which in return will have an impact of the level of satisfaction, perceived value, and most important, intention to revisit. They come first time, they got a good service, they are happy with the services provided, their intention to revisit. So this is how we'll increase the customer satisfaction in the medical tourism. All right. So we take about a short break, that 10 minutes. Then we come back. We will continue from what do you call our study gap.
Yeah.
All right.
look more in depth later on, but yeah.
Just your understanding.
Yeah, just some slides on here.
Basically, research is a scientific process of answering or identifying a problem, then find out an answer in a scientific way. And do you remember the types of research?
No, I have to look. Oh,
Basic research and applied research. Basic
okay.
research and applied, right? And do you remember the approach? What are the approach of research?
I won't be able to remember it. I have to go through it later on.
Are you sleepy?
No. It's for me. For me, I have to read it myself
Right.
and understand, and then I'll be able to
There are two types of research, basically qualitative and quantitative. Just remember, we have defined what is research. Just I want to know your understanding of research. I don't want to you read and give me the quotation from somebody else. No, this is not what I want.
Yeah.
So I want you to read, understand, and then synthesize, and then you tell me your understanding. Types of research, then approaches. Then we are at the moment before the break, we discuss about what is the research gap, and we found one example. So this is the second example. Could you please read it again?
Yep. With regards to the models on the success of KMS, the past studies have looked into the success in relation to user satisfaction and their intention to use the system. However, these models may not be applicable to the banking industry. According to Lucas and Delone and McLean, the intention to use should only be considered as a predictor of KMS success when the adoption of the system is on a voluntary basis. When KMS users are made compulsory to utilize the system as part of their job requirements, users' intentions to use KMS is no longer appropriate in addressing the success of KMS. In the banking industry, most of the bank employees are not given a choice by their employers whether to use or not to use KMS. The bank employees have to use the system as it's an essential tool for them to execute their jobs and to fulfill their job descriptions. Therefore, the intention to use the system as an antecedent for the success of KMS seems to be inappropriate in this case.
Now, what is KMS? KMS is knowledge management system.
Okay.
Now, what do you understand from this?
What in terms of KMS?
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming it's probably like a data tool used to understand what the data means, to collate any sort of data and stuff like that, and to interpret it maybe.
Just for your information, this study has been done in Malaysia, in context of Malaysian banks. You see at the down, the determinants of knowledge management system, success in the banking industry. This is the title of the research paper. Now, knowledge management system, or KMS, is a system that is used by most of the banks here.
Okay.
Now, what is the purpose of using a system?
So everything is organized and you can store
Make
data.
your life easy. Make your life easy, isn't it? So we need a system to make our life easy. Now, if you read the last line, not the last line, this one, the bank employees have to use the system as it is essential tool for them, and they don't have any other option. I mean, in a way, they are forced to do this.
Okay.
Now, the question here, I mean, the researcher, they're trying to address bank or the bankers. They're saying, oh, you have the use system, so that will increase the customer satisfaction. Why? Because the system has to make people life easy, isn't it? Now, I don't know, because you don't have the experiences here. If you go to the bank here, okay, today's system down. So you take maybe half day leave from your company and you want to do some, what do you call, settings for your banking, maybe the card or whatever, the account transaction or something. Because of the system down, you cannot do that.
Yeah.
So the management, knowledge management system or the system they're using, KMS, is it increasing the customer satisfaction?
No.
It is not. Because why? It is not the what do you call, making my life easy. Rather, it is making my life difficult. Because something happened to your HQ, then it impacts to the branch, and the branch says, okay, system is down.
Yeah.
So that's why I said the determinant of knowledge management system success in the banking industry. So to forcing them use a system is not necessarily that it will increase customer satisfaction. So this research was trying to address that customer satisfaction, or to increase the customer satisfaction, there are some other factors.
Yeah.
All right. So if you read the detailed article, you can find. So it's not only the knowledge management system or KMS that makes the increase the customer satisfaction, right? So you see, there are how we need to identify the gap from the existing literature, from existing studies. So in order to for you to come up with a topic or more information, it's not only identify the topic.
Right.
It also, you need to identify the other researches has been done on the similar topic, and you need to do a planning how to do that. So in order to do, prepare all these things, you need to do a lot of studies. How to find out the research or the journals or articles, I will show you in a while. But let's continue our research gap. So we have seen the knowledge gap, evidence gap, practical knowledge gap. We also have seen the methodological gap, population gap, and also the theoretical gap. Now, why is the research gap important? Why it is important? It is important because you need to identify the problem, the research topic. The moment you don't read all these things, you don't know what's happening in the same industry. So if you want to identify your research topic, you need to identify your research gap. You want to highlight the main reason why the research has been undertaken, you need to identify the research gap. You want to know why this is very important, research and all, you need to identify the research gap. And you want to identify the uniqueness, what is very unique in this case of your research, you need to identify the research gap. The research objectives and research questions, if you want to identify, also you identify research gap first. This will also help you put forward the significance of your study. This also will help reader interest. The people who read your dissertation later on, they will feel interest in reading. This will also focus readers' attention on how your study adds value to the current literature. Something new knowledge will be added. So a well-drafted and structured research problem is the heart of the research project. So your dissertation, the main thing you need to identify a real problem statement. And in order to write a good research problem statement, you need to identify what are the gaps. Now, how to identify? So we understand what is research gap. We also understand the types of research gap. We also understand why it is important. Now, how to identify? Number one, critical review of the existing theories. All the published articles, journals on the similar topic, you need to review. That means read. Consistent reading and synthesizing the literature. You have to read, and read. Publish articles, future studies, identified your key motivating issues or questions. Now, in order to read, you need to identify how to read and from where to get all these journals. Now, you can get the journals from the existing literatures. You can also get from the academicians. You can get from the social concern, personal experience, and practitioners. At the beginning, what you have shared with me, I understand this can be your personal experience or the social concern, the one you share the problem from your company. Do you understand? So yeah. Your personal experience and social concern you also need to get link with the academicians. This is how you're doing the Masters of Business Administration dissertation. You also need to link to the what you call the scholarly writings, to the reports, working papers, existing literature means the published journals. You need to link. Using PCOS framework, we are discussing how to identify my literature gap. So what is PCOS? There is P means population or the problem, intervention or comparison, outcomes and settings. When you read through the journals and articles, what are the things you need to highlight? Population or the problem, intervention, comparison, outcomes or the settings. PCOS is also useful for the researchers in performing literature search and develop the relevant research questions. So who are the population? In your case, you said you have 10 people. So they are the population for your studies. So you need to identify their gender, race, etc., their demographic information.
Yeah.
Intervention. Intervention is information regarding the specific intervention that is inadequately included in the evidence base. That means you are saying customer satisfaction, customers are complaining. So you need to show some proof that this area has not been addressed before. This is how you're intervening or undertaking some research. Comparison, lack of information regarding the comparison intervention or standard intervention. Outcomes, information regarding the outcomes of the interest organized by the type of outcome, timing outcomes, or to delineate where the information is lacking. And the setting context, which is information regarding the relevant settings of research gaps. Now, what can be a research gap? What is the research gap again? Areas person want to improve. Which area you want to improve? For you said, whatever you shared with me is customer complaint. You want to reduce the customer complaint and you want to increase the customer satisfaction. So this can be one of the gap. Okay. As existing issues, organization needs to address. So this is an existing issue. Theoretical or conceptual issues, that is different aspects of research, whereby theoretical aspects. Research questions, a basic researcher wants to answer empirically. I have ask you some questions, or even you have some questions. Why the customers are complaining? How frequent they're complaining? What are the area complaining? What are the complaint all about? So this is the question. You need to answer empirically based on some facts and figures, some proof. So if I show you the summary, like you identify the topic first. So after today, I'm sure you do a brainstorm and identify the topic. Identify the research issue. Issue you have already identified that your customer satisfaction is not there or customer complaint. Evidence for the research, that is the part of research methodology you do, kind of survey. Deficiencies in the evidences. So you need to collect some evidence. So you need to do a literature. You need to do a lot of studies here. And look for the remedies, that is solution, finding the solution. That is a summary of your research gap. Now, where is the research gap manuscript located? I mean, if you read a journal or article, how to find out the research gap? So you can look into the issues of the problem statement, or you can also look into the concern being addressed behind the study. and why was the study undertaken in the first place, and why this is important. So this is the answer you can look for in the article that you are reading. This is how you can identify some gaps. Now, let's look into some journals again and identify the gaps again. This is important for us. Now, earlier I shared the folder. You open the folder now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go to the research methodology.
Research method.
Yeah.
Is it on that? It's open. Yeah. So the research gap, is it?
Yes. Correct.
Yeah. So there's one which says the lack of coherent understanding of cell biology.
It's not that. Okay. You go to the folder again.
Yeah. So I see there's a folder called articles.
Go to the article.
Sustainability questionnaire.
You go to the first one, the activity.
Activity 3 handout.
Yeah.
Yep. Gap.
Read it aloud.
So in order to ensure students' competency to learn rapidly developing knowledge, many universities, especially in faculties of medicine and biological sciences, have adopted and advocate SDL in the form of student-centered learning approaches like problem-based learning, case-based learning, and group work in their curricula. However, many new undergraduates have been found incompetent in these approaches. In order to pursue their higher level studies at the universities, students need to possess SDL skills to a certain extent. Indirectly, SDL has been sort of replaced with student-centered approaches. However, do student-centered teaching and learning approaches equate to SDL? Research appears to point to the fact that SDL is more about a process where one sets, plans, and evaluates the learning objectives with or without the help of others. SDL readiness seems to be a key link between pre-university education and tertiary education, and even up to the level of postgraduate studies. In relation to this, much research about the readiness of students for SDL, especially in the medical, biomedical, and nursing fields, have been carried out. To be self-directed, one needs to possess the skills and knowledge which are specific for a particular subject. Research has suggested that the readiness of students for SDL before entering tertiary education will determine the success of the tertiary curriculum and the student's performance. Likewise, teacher SDL readiness for lessons is important. In a true SDL environment, both students and teachers must work together towards achieving the students' learning objectives and the teachers' teaching objectives. Do you want me to read out the fill?
No, it's okay. We did the gap first. So you have read this whole article or the whole paragraph. So what do you think? What is the real problem or what is the real gap here?
Well, it'll be a problem between the link between the SDL and what was it? The different types of learning or teaching, like the way it's linked.
If you write your own words to the gap, how do you write it? Can you try?
What do you mean?
I mean, you read this and then you, in your own words, write 1 or 2 lines or 2 sentences. What is the real problem here?
I can't see it as at the moment, no. I mean, there's a few things like maybe like where they're saying about the student-centered approaches, how it lacks any sort of correlation with
Yeah, you're right.
SDL.
You stop here for a moment. Yeah. So you said it lacks, huh? This is actually the problem. This is the gap. So the student-centered teaching and learning approaches equal to SDL. This is the question mark. This needs to be answered. This needs to be addressed. You understand?
Yeah.
So this is the gap. This is the gap. So this is the
Okay.
one gap because uh, you see, if you read from the beginning, in order to ensure the student competency to learn rapidly developing knowledge, and many universities, especially in the faculties of medicine and biological studies, have adopted advocate SDL in their form of student-centered learning approach, like problem-based learning, etc., or case-based learning. This was a citation by Cake and Ozisa in 2011. This is a quotation mark. I mean, this is from their side. This is not from the researcher. Now, he also saying that, however, many new undergraduates have been found incompetent in approaches. So they find undergraduate students are incompetent. This also reference to this so and so. In order to pursue their knowledge, higher level studies at the university, students need to possess SDL skills to certain extent. So the researcher agree, based on the previous studies, they need to adopt SDL. So the real question is, however, those student-centered teaching and learning approaches equal to SDL? So this needs to be answered. This is the gap.
Okay.
You understand now?
Yeah.
There is another gap. Would you like to further read and identify?
Researchable. Could it be where I think the line where it says where the teachers and students need to work together? I mean, like in terms of their learning and teaching objectives.
You read start from the researchers suggested that the readiness of the student for SDL before entering tertiary education will determine the success of the tertiary curriculum and student performances by Ozan et al. 2005, right? So they suggested, this has not been investigated yet. So this needs to be investigated. So this is another gap.
Okay.
So when you indicate your problem statement, you need to say that, oh, this researcher see this researcher say that, then you come to a conclusion that this is the issue, it needs to be investigated. You got it now?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So there is a two gap here, you can find it out. Next, let's read another article. Find out the sustainability article. Open this.
Okay. The sustainability one, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you want me, which part do you want me to read?
Abstract.
Abstract, yeah?
Yeah.
1 second. Universities around the world have faced a new pandemic, forcing the closures of campuses that are now conducting educational activities on online platforms. The paper presents a survey about students' behaviors and attitudes towards online education in the pandemic period from the Technical University of Napoca, Romania. A group of 300 students participated. The questionnaire was structured in 4 parts to determine students' individual characteristics, needs, students' knowledge, and in using virtual platforms, and students' quality preferences for online education. The students said that online education in a pandemic situation is beneficial for 78% of them. A total of 41.7% of students appreciated the teacher's teaching skills and the quality of online courses since the beginning of the pandemic, and 18.7% of the students appreciated the additional online materials for study to support the education. However, students found online education stressful but preferred online assessment for evaluation. This pandemic has led to the new stage of Education 4.0, online education, and the need to harmonize methods of education with the requirements of new generations.
So this is the article all about. Here they stated the objective, who are the population. Population means here a group of 300 students. The survey was done. Now come here to introduction part. Introduction, you will stop here. You look into the screen that I have shared.
Yeah.
Right. So you read this part. You don't need to read aloud, and then you need to find what are the problems. You will write in a sentences. I'm sharing with you another link. You can put it there.
Okay.
You read it first.
So where was it from?
Introduction part. Introduction part.
Do you want me to read it out aloud or?
No.
No, yeah?
Just read.
Sorry, I just need to get something from outside the house just very quickly, yeah?
Okay,
can we just pause for a second?
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, just pause for a second. 1 second, sorry.
It will be 1 or 2 gaps. You see, the universities around the world have faced a new pandemic, forcing the closure of campuses that are now conducting educational activities on online platforms. So the paper presents a survey about the students' behavior and attitude towards the online education. So the main problem or the gap, this paper present, you see here, this paper presents a survey about the attitude and behavior towards online education. This is the main gap, right? And also the implementation of digital education, which is education 4.0, that's it. Implementation. This is the 2 gap in this study.
Okay.
Now, so this is how you need to identify the gap, number 1. Number 2, this study has been done where? What is the location?
Romania.
Right.
So it's not worldwide.
It's a particular, even not Romania, all
well,
the countrywide.
in the university.
University
plus very limited.
Okay, yeah. And how many population, or what was the survey distribution done on?
300.
300. So these are the few information you need to pick up when you read each article.
Okay.
What is the problem? So you find the problem. It's actually adoption of the digital education, or they said online education at 4.0. And they also study the behavior and attitude of that what do you call the student towards online education. So this is how you know the location, the number of population, and what is the problem. Again, if you read the last part of the conclusion, you see here. Basically, it starts from here. Can you see the screen now?
Yeah.
The article presents the obtained following application of questionnaires, and this is the result they found. Based on the literature, the result was able to create a student profile model and establish a factor which influence the student behavior. So they found what are the factors that influence student attitude and behavior towards online education. So what are the factors? Online education has one of the great challenges for the teachers and students both. At present, education is still at the period of adoption, identifying the factors influence of educational act for an as yet an unexplained period. The COVID-19 pandemic brought for the first time widespread adoption of online education. So that was the first time
Yeah.
In Romania, you see. The 4 factors taken into consideration. What are the factors? Student
So students'
knowledge,
knowledge,
student need,
need.
and preferences for the quality online education. Now, the result shows that the student behavior is influenced by the attitude regarding their needs and quality of the digital education. So the student attitude or behavior is influenced by the need. They don't care about what they call the quality or what type of education the need is there, because the physical classrooms all are stopped at the time. Students have represented the teachers are both who adapt and reformulate their habit, making them closer to the student. You see, teachers need to upgrade, because some of them were not trained before to the new technology or new platforms. So the result confirmed that the students obtained knowledge by using online education during the pandemic, which is useful lesson for their demands, confirming other teachers, other researchers' result. So adoption of digital education in Romania at that university was successful. We can conclude that way. So this is one article. Now let's go to the second one. So you have started picking up this. Good. This is good. So go to your folder again. Open the question. Open the IJOL volume 9. You got it? I got it. Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
Same thing. You read the abstract question. Yeah.
So the aim of this research is to examine the COVID-19 impacts on the human resource operation in the Malaysian retail sector, especially in the Klang Valley area. A self-administered online survey was conducted with 330 participants answering. Partial least square approach to the structural equation modeling was used to investigate the direct effects of the proposed variables. Besides, the meditation test was used to examine the indirect effects. The outcomes of the study showed that the current pandemic has an essential influence on job depression and anxiety at retail level. Furthermore, the direct relationship between COVID-19, salary, and layoff is significant, suggesting that COVID-19 is a severe problem for employees' salaries and layoffs. In contrast, the indirect effect of COVID-19, job depression, job anxiety, salary, and layoff confirm a significant relationship with partial mediation. Job depression, however, does not mediate the relationship between COVID-19 and layoff. This research only considered Klang Valley area in addition to the data collected through the convenient sampling method by using an online survey form. The findings of the study offer an insight into the factors influencing human capital management and how the retail decision makers, retailers, retail consultants, and staff should devise a new approach to adjust HR policies in a new normal situation. The study adds to the existing knowledge about the effect of COVID-19 on job description, job anxiety, salaries, and layoffs among retail employees. This study will also provide a source of further research because the area under investigation is new in the current pandemic situation.
You got an idea here. What is the aim or what is the objective, and you also know this location. Where is the location?
It is in Klang for 330 participants.
It's not Klang. It's a Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Klang Valley. It's not Klang. Klang is a different district. Klang Valley is Kuala Lumpur and PJ, some part of this area. That is called as Klang Valley.
Yeah.
Okay. Klang Valley and Klang is different. Klang is a different state. Anyway, so
okay.
In summary, that this study was done in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, and the specific area of Kuala Lumpur. How many people participated?
330.
30. Now you read it again, what they call the introduction part, and find out again the research gap or the problem. Remember, research gap and problem is almost the same thing. So you find out what was the main problem in 1 or 2 lines.
Okay. So do I read it from the impact of COVID-19 or do I read from the start itself, from where it says COVID-19 is a worldwide pandemic?
Yeah, it's from there, COVID-19.
How far do you want me to read up to?
You should get your answer within the introduction or the first paragraph.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of read
All right. Okay,
up to the impact of COVID.
Okay. Yeah, you have written that job loss plus wage reduction. You see here, Prashant, in the academic writing, you cannot put this these types of short writing plus. You need to write and also
Yeah.
and also you cannot write the shortcut ANG. You need to spell and write. Job loss and wage reduction, the affecting employee satisfaction and performance. Yes, strict SOP may cause. May you cannot say may. Remember, when you say problem, you can say the maybe problem. If maybe problem is not a problem in research. So this small word, I need to be very careful. Okay, now come here. Let me show you this article. Which one? This article. Read here, the one I'm underlining, then you'll get the answer. The worst effect sector were retail, food, ready-made garments. Thousands of individuals across the world have lost their jobs. This is none of our business in this article. With regard to the retail sector, where the millions employees in Malaysia here, this is a real problem because our research location in Malaysia. With regard to retail Malaysia, work as full-time or part-time or contractual condition lead to the employment of loss of employment because of the COVID. This is the impact. So as a result, what happened? Part-time employees, contract employees have already begun to lose their jobs, where full-time jobs employees are faced with a wage reduction, delay of payment. These all are the impact of COVID. This crisis situation will have a great negative impact on the employees' performance. So the problem is, due to the COVID impact, the employees are having, they are basically losing their jobs or the salaries, this and that. And because of that, there is a negative impact on the employees' performance, which will increase job dissatisfaction because of the negative impact of employees' performance. It also increasing job dissatisfaction. And what are the factors been identified? Because of the salary, you look into this here, the what do you call the diagram, the framework. Look into this framework. Job depression, job anxiety, increasing because of what? Salary and layoff. And all because of the COVID-19. Now, do you see what are the main problem here? Job dissatisfaction increases. Why? Because of salary and layoff. So you need to read this and you need to rewrite in your own words. The more you do, the more you will be perfect in identifying problem. And there is an improvement now. Okay, I think we take 5 minutes break. Yours is 5 minutes time. We will come back and we'll continue our others. Then we end our session here.
Yeah. Sorry, quick question.
Yeah.
Just now you said that was it Dr. Rao was supposed to do? Was that today or is that tomorrow?
Today.
Today, yeah. Oh, there's another link. Okay. Because I don't know because the email that you sent. If I can find it. Because the email that you sent for Saturday, I only have this
Okay. I will forward you the other link.
Yeah, that's fine. Cheers. Thank you. Yeah.
Right. So we have covered what is research, types of research, and approaches of research. We have also discussed about your introduction and background, how to write. Then we are at the moment in the problem statement, and we also discuss about the how to identify the research gap, right now. So this is what I told you before the break, that when you read the journal, you can look into the issues or problem researchers want to address. What are the concerns? What are the study undertaken, and why it is important, right? Now, attributes of the good problem statement. What are the things that makes a very strong or solid problem statement? Number one is clearly and understandably. So you need to present a very clear and understandable manner. Is formulated, educated, or defined concept relevant to the topic of the study. So when you write a problem statement, just now I show you some example that there are many references. So you also need to give many references to show the more credibility of your problem statement. It doesn't relate to the something trivial or uncertain. So you cannot say maybe, no. Uncertainty, you cannot put it there. The theory or practical problem, previous research from which it proceeds logically is clearly described in the problem statement. A good problem statement also set out the different points of view and assumptions. It culminates the research hypothesis or research questions later on. And most importantly, it convinces the reader. So the reader must agree that this is a real problem and it must be done. So there are some implications for a good research problem as well. It sets out the blueprint for the whole direction of the research. So by reading your problem statement, a reader will understand or know that what are your main objectives you're going to resolve. A good problem statement will have a good main aim and objectives. It also helps build a solid research model and a right data analysis. Remember, when you set your objective, it also indicates the research approach you're going to take. Is it qualitative or quantitative or what? So that's all about the research and gaps and research problem statement. Now the next part is research questions. So a research question is a statement or problem to investigate it. It could be also very phrased as in front of questions or formal hypotheses. So this is an example of how we develop research questions. So when you write research questions and research objectives are very, what do you call, in a very coherent manner, there must be some relationship. So is there any relationship between brand image and service quality? Is one of your research question. Remember, one of your research question. Will price consciousness moderate the relationship between clothing and interest and the purchase intention? Will corporate image mediate the relationship between service quality and customer satisfaction? So this is how we write research questions. Is it clear to you?
Yeah.
All right. This is simple, but you need to know how to write. And then research objectives. Describe what we expect achieve from a project. I mean, out of this research, what is the expectations? So you need to write it. This is the research objectives. And this you need to write in a very accurate manner. And normally it will be in a sentence form. So some examples, how do we write research objective, like to examine, to study, this kind of verb you use for writing research objectives and research questions. Again, here, what is the first objective?
Well, to examine the relationship, between the brand, service, and quality, is it?
All right. So this is the example of first research objective. We write to examine the relationship between brand image and quality. But if you look into this question, what is the first question?
If there's any relationship between brand image and service quality.
So do you find kind of similarity between how do we write research question and research objectives?
Yeah.
Right. I gave you more information, you go to the folder again.
Yeah.
It's not in the article. Go to the main one.
Yeah.
Research methodology.
Um.
Do you find RQ?
RQ, yeah.
So you open that file.
The PDF, the objectives
Yes.
of study and research questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just read it.
Mechanistic reasoning, a higher order thinking skill, plays a crucial part in developing the coherency of the mechanisms involved in reasoning. However, this is not being emphasized during classroom learning, especially among the low achieving students. Thus, the overall aim of the study was to investigate high and low achieving students' mechanistic reasoning over a specific period of time. Based on this general aim, several specific objectives were put forward.
Hold on here.
Yeah.
So you read this paragraph that mechanistic reasoning, a higher order thinking skill, is a psychological term, plays a crucial part in developing the coherency of mechanism involved in reasoning. So, however, this is not being emphasized during the classroom learning, especially among the low achieving students. Thus, the overall aim of the study, the purpose of the study is to investigate the high and low achieving student mechanism reasoning over a specific period of time. So this is the paragraph about, this is the research introduction. Let's say this is the introduction. Based on these, 3 objectives has been written. Now read the objectives.
To explore mechanistic reasoning among selected high and low achieving Form 4 science students for the theory of cell. To describe the progression of
Hold on here, number 1. Let's discuss about number 1. So number 1, the objective and the introduction. Do you find any similarities, any connection or any link?
What between the high and low achieving?
No, objective number 1 and the paragraph, I mean the introduction. Let's say this is the introduction. So do you find any link here?
I don't understand what you're trying to say, as in like.
Okay, look, this is from mechanism reasoning until you read what you call over a specific period of time. This is a kind of introduction.
Yeah.
Now, based on this introduction, the objectives are stated, isn't it? Research objective.
Yeah. So
the number 1 objective, to explore the mechanistic reasoning among the selected high and low achieving forms. To explore. So do you find any connection?
Yeah.
Okay, what are the connection?
So basically, it's how it affects between how the mechanistic reasoning is affecting the students who are high achieving and the students who are low achieving.
Right. Read number 3rd line. Thus the overall aim of the study. Overall aim of the study to investigate. Do you notice?
Yeah.
All right. So this is how we write in the introduction or in our writings. This is how we write in our writings from the introduction until the conclusion. And when you write a specific research objective, it will come like this, number 1.
Okay.
So it will always start with to study, to explore, or to examine. This is how we state our research objectives. Are you clear?
Yeah.
So student makes mistakes. I will give you some example later on that. Student write what we call research objectives. These study, let's say for mechanistic reasoning. No, this is wrong already. When you want to write a research objective, it should come with the to infinitive plus verb word. Verb word like study, examine, explore, like this. So go ahead to the number 2.
To describe the progression of mechanistic reasoning over a specific period of time among selected high and low achieving Form 4 science students for the theory of cell.
It is the same thing, but in different words. Do you notice? Same thing.
Yeah.
Basically, there is one objective only, but in different forms. So it helps you, or it gives you some idea how to write research objectives. Read number 3.
To determine the emergent representations of mechanistic reasoning among selected high and low achieving Form 4 science students.
So you can choose either one of the style. You can put to explore, to describe, to determine. No problem here. This is a different wordings only. This is how we write our research objectives. And go down.
Yeah.
This is again the same paragraph. This is how we write our research question. So read number 1.
How is the emerging mechanistic reasoning among the selected high and low achieving Form science students for the theory of cell?
Number 2.
How is the progression of mechanistic reasoning over a specific time among the selected high and low achieving Form 4 science students for the theory of cell?
Number 3.
What are the emergent representations of mechanistic reasoning among the selected high achieving and low achieving Form 4 science students?
So basically, this is one research questions, but in 3 different styles. Right? Now you go to your article again.
The article folder, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Open the PDF file written questionnaire.
Which one? Example PS1, yeah?
Example. No. You go to the questionnaire. PDF
Oh, questionnaire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you read the abstract, and after reading this, I want you to write one research objective and one research question.
Okay. Do you want me to read it out aloud or?
No, you can read it by yourself.
Okay. Mm. I've done it. I think that's how you do it.
Okay, the one first you write and remember the goal of this is wrong, but the second time you made it right. So the objective is to explore, correct? So this is the objective. Research objective is correct, right? And this is research question.
Yeah.
Now research question will end with what you call your question mark.
Yeah.
Okay? Now how the use of the M learning affects the student? How the use is wrong, how the use is, you need to make it noun. Sorry.
You said wrong.
Yeah, I'm learning English. Okay, whatever it is, you got it right now. Your objective is right. You how to write the research question is also right. Now let's move on. Do you? I think it's fine. You can write now, right? Do you want to do another exercise?
I mean, is it regarding the research objectives and research?
And research questions, yes.
I think that one's a bit. It's a bit easier, so I don't think I would need one for now.
All right. All right. So the moment you are done with research questions and research objectives, the next part is what we call significance of the study. Now, in this part, you need to give a brief description of your research, why it is important, the importance of the study. You need to answer to what the study will contribute. Example, you said your company, you want to increase the customer satisfaction and reduce the customer complaint. So if you do this, your research will bring an outcome which will give the profit. The moment you increase customer satisfaction, you will get more businesses, and then your company will generate more revenue. So this is how you need to explain it here, the importance. It provides an answer as to what the study will contribute. There are four main areas of contribution. Remember that. Theory of development. In literature review part, on chapter 2, when you are writing literature review, you need to link to one of the theory. So in terms of theoretical development, you can add, you can find out some tangible solution. Good example can be your organization. You can also innovate the methods. It can be a good example for the policymakers, etc., etc. So these are the parts you need to highlight. You need to highlight where in your significance of the study part. It also should specifically state the value of the study, what is the study important, and telling your researcher reader who benefits from your research. So basically, if I repeat, chapter 1, you will be starting with introduction, and then you will give, whereby in introduction you will introduce the whole research, all is about. Then you will provide background information. Straight away you will come to the writing problem statement. So your problem statement need to be really, really solid one with all types of evidences you can give. Then you will write about research aim and objectives, research question, significance of the study. This is how you will complete your chapter 1.
Okay.
Are you clear?
Yeah.
Now, at the master's level, we want our students at least 2 to 3 objectives and 2 to 3 research questions. No less than this, not more than this. Maybe not more than 5. Definitely not, because then your area will be too broader, and all the research you need to complete within 15,000 words. Remember that, 15,000 words. So this is how we need to plan. Now let's look into how to find the what you call the articles. We are talking about research gap, and to find out the research gap, you need to find out the literatures. How to find this out? One of the way is your university will give access to the online library, so you can find it out. You can also find it out from we call as an open source, what is known as Google Scholar.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the Google Scholar?
Yeah.
Very good. Now let's look into this. This is how it looks like on the home page. Now, let's say you are looking for the article, what is called customer satisfaction. Is it what do you call it? Security, right? Your organization, security industry.
It's, yeah, it is basically. It's security and also maintenance.
You see here, when I search customer satisfaction, security, and maintenance, how many articles here?
26,000.
26,000. Is it possible for read all these articles?
No.
It's not. It's impossible, because you got a limited period of time. And by the way, it might not necessary to read all. So what you need more specific. Look into this. This is one of the technique I teach you, how to search the appropriate literature. So you can put inverted comma, you put customer satisfaction. You close it. Then you put plus sign. You said another is what? Maintenance.
Security and maintenance, yeah.
Security, put inverted comma, put plus, put again, maintenance. Now you see how many? 436. Something like manageable, but it is yet 436 also a lot. You cannot. So you need some more refined.
Yeah.
Put plus in UK. Oh, sorry. Now it's how many? 199. Okay, it's also a lot. So maybe you want to further Let's say you are staying in London. Now 124.
Oh yeah, so more like basically more filters, basically, isn't it?
Yes, yes. Now it will reduce some more. Let's say you want to find recent years. Let's say 2018 to 2021. Now it's only 23.
Yeah.
You see, this is some of the techniques. Otherwise, these types of Google Scholar or the online library, it is huge. It's like ocean, and you won't find any what you call, you will be lost easily. And then you don't know, you lost your direction, how to proceed, how to move, where to move. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Now, let's say I show you something else also. So you see, you get this article. Yeah. Some articles are not free. You need to purchase. So how to get that? Let me show you. Here, for example, this one. This article you want to get, for example, here, buy chapter. You need to buy. So how? You cannot spend so much of money. Let me pause this first, because I don't see that you have done much reading. From today onwards, if you determine that you want to do customer satisfaction in your industry, that would be your title. Then start reading. Go to the Google Scholar or your online library. Find out at least 15 to 20 articles related to this. For example, 15 to 20. Then do a kind of mapping. Do you know how to do the mapping?
Well, sort of, yeah. I haven't done it in a while, but
let me show you. You can open a Word file, put table form. Then you write here the name of the article. Published here. Published here. Then you can write problem statement. From the article, you identify the problem. Problem. Then who was the population? Then you write the writer name. Who was the writer? Then you write when it was published. So if you do set up like this, and then you start writing. So you identify at least 15 to 20, you will be in the safe side. So you can easily develop some idea, because no matter how much you know, if you don't get some other ideas from the published articles, literatures and all, you cannot write. And if you don't have the enough resources, at one point of time, you'll stop, because you finish. If you write, let's say 5 or 6, then it can finish very fast, and it is not enough for you to complete your whole dissertation, right? So let's go back to our slide. So we are almost the end of our session here. Now, if I repeat again, what is your idea or understanding of research?
As in to basically find out a problem and to find the solution or data's in a methodological
in a scientific way. Yeah, in a scientific way. So when you say scientific way, you need to follow the research method, right? So do you remember the types of research?
Was it the qualitative or quantitative?
Yes, qualitative and quantitative as well, right? That is more towards our approach.
Okay.
And types of research, basically we discuss about your basic or applied. The article I have shared with you, you will find some other types of research like experimental, scientific. You will find what you call conceptual types of research. You will find what you call different styles. You will find there. So at the moment, because you are totally new here, so you just remember basic research and applied research. Basic research mainly to the extension of the new knowledge, whereby in applied research is a real life problem solution. We give an example from the McDonald's. If they want to add a new menu, what they have to do, right? And you read by now 4 or 5 articles already that talking about the pandemic or COVID-19 impact in the education, or some places they want to adopt digital learning. So you see, so these different types of literatures and studies. After that, we have discussed about your how to write the introduction and background, and then started with the problem statement. So what is the problem statement you have understand so far?
What, so as in, so like, well, stating what the problem is, of what the research is based upon. So so based on what the research is upon, this the problems that are faced in that question.
Right. So in order to identify your research problem, or in order to write your research problem, you also need to see what is the research gap. All right. In the same area, what has been done and what needs to be done. So what needs to be done is your research area, right? So we have shown that different types of research gap. You have knowledge gap, you have theoretical gap, you have new knowledge gap, you have practical gap, you have the theoretical gap, etc., etc. After that, we have shown you how to write your research objectives and research questions. So the one you said you are quite confident, so you can write about your research question and research objectives. After that is your significance of the study. So this is how you will complete your chapter 1. So do you have any questions so far?
I won't have any questions now. Maybe later on when I'm doing it, I'll have questions. But for now, no.
All right. So let me show you some EOG. This is what you call dissertation. They have completed. They have developed some proposal. So let me show you some samples so you will have an idea. Okay, this is how your research proposal should look like. You will have a title. So this is, you leave it like this. I will give you the soft copy so you can start writing your proposal on this.
Okay.
So this is the title: an exploration on the views of the soft skill adopted by SME, small and medium enterprise. So an exploration of the views of the soft skill, the training part. So what are the content you should write in your proposal? Introduction. Context, we just mentioned about what you call your the background information. So you can write about the context here.
Yeah.
You will also write about the literature review. What is literature review and how to write your literature review will be discussed in our second session by Mr. Rao.
Okay.
Research questions, research objectives, you can write it, right? There shouldn't be any problem. So minimum, how many research and objectives and questions you write, and what are the maximum number?
2 to 3, maximum 5.
Right. So you don't cross more than 5. So you also notice the relationship or link between the objectives and questions, right? And then you will write about the methodology. Tomorrow, the same time, I will take the session on method, research method. So basically, you have learned today about the introduction, context part, research questions, research objectives. And method part we'll discuss about tomorrow.
Okay.
Now you see how they write about the introduction, context, literature review, research questions. This is, here they write about 3 research questions. To conduct a qualitative research, to identify which soft skills, to provide a framework for further study. And you see here, there's no research objectives. They must have research objectives as well. Methodology. Sample, who would be the sample, the ethic part, limitations, summary, etc. Then appendix. One of the important part of the research proposal is this is called Gantt chart or the plan. You need to add it into the plan. So basically you are starting in January 2022 and you have to complete everything by July. So within this period of time, you need to put your plan, like background or what you call teacher meeting or literature review, a draft proposal, submit the proposal, then your methodology, how you do everything, you need to put a plan in details. So you clear about your thesis proposal, dissertation proposal?
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at it, but after that, I'll be fine.
All right. Now let me show you your one more thing. Your topic form, research topic, how you want to fill up this. This is how you should write your research. Your name, your student ID. You got your student ID already?
It's in the email somewhere, I think.
Okay, got it. So what is your proposed area? Possibly you can add your research questions at this stage or objectives here, 1 or 2. If possible, they are not making it compulsory. Concept or theory you would like to add here. Possible research questions. Research question you can add it because you are very clear now. And if possible, what method you want to do, quantitative or qualitative, yeah, you can put it here. And this form, once you complete it, you need to email it to Dr. Mary. She is the coordinator for this program.
Okay.
You can also copy to me. Let me give you my email address. Oh, you have my email address, right?
Yeah, I have your email address, yeah.
You have my email address. And I have given you my number, so you can WhatsApp me if you need anything else.
Okay.
That's my number. All right. So have you received all the, I think I have given you everything you need in the folder.
Yeah, so I've got the Dropbox folder, yeah?
Yes. But
yeah.
please download it in, download it.
Yeah, 1 second.
You download all the resources because
yeah, I'm downloading it now and it's done.
all right, now the last thing. For tomorrow, we will discuss about our research methodology and also the data analysis part. Are you familiar with the SPSS software?
SP?
SS.
No.
So you haven't done it before, huh?
No.
Okay. Call it SPSS. Try whether you can download it. There is a free version as well.
Yeah.
Try to download it so that I can show you how to do how to use the software and do your analysis. If not, I will just briefing you, giving you the briefings, and later when you do analysis part, maybe we can help you again.
Okay.
Right? So when you did your PGD, you didn't do any research or in your bachelor?
I didn't use the SPS or anything. I've done my own like research, but it was more like more assignments, isn't it? And I did it based on that, but I didn't use SPSS or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. There are two software is famous now. One is SPSS, another one is Smart PLS.
Okay.
Smart PLS also we can download it. There are student version. This is to use to analyze your data. But you said that your number of samples would be 10, 15, is it? That is very small number.
Yeah.
Probably you can look into your HQ as well, whether they would like to respond.
Yeah.
How to prepare the questionnaire and all, we try to show you tomorrow. By this time, you do some brainstorming and get an idea about your research topic. Because based on that, you will be searching your literature, searching journals, and then you will be progressing.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
right, so far so good. Is there any other questions?
Not at the moment, no. If I do have any questions, I will get into contact and I'll
All right.
let you know.
All right, and then for the next session, you have the link.
Yeah, so I have it in the email. It was from Avra, wasn't it?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, research. Is it research methodologies? No.
Yes.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, session 2. Yeah.
Okay, session 2 is 23rd.
Is it?
You see the date and time?
Because it says here research.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we see you tomorrow at the same
All right.
time. Yeah. All right.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you,
You're
doctor.
welcome. Okay.